All right, everybody, welcome to the first ever SBD Odds Pod. I'm Frank Michael-Smith. I'm here with Matt McEwan. This is episode 1. We're happy to be here with you guys. We're going to be doing sports betting, everything. Matt, how you doing?
Hey, Frank, I'm doing well. How you doing, buddy?
Doing extremely well. A little bit of a rough week 14 for me. But before we get into that, I just want to do a couple intros. Who I am, who you are, why we're doing the pod, what we're going to be covering. Hi, I'm Frank Smith. You might have seen me from social media. I make sports storytelling videos, and I have done some predictions on there too. So this is kind of expanding off that for me. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm a Steelers fan. I'll have a little bit more disappointing news on that later. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, let me just add. Frank's going to be the entertainment for you guys here. I'll be the numbers nerd. I'm Matt McEwan, the editor-in-chief at SBD, sportsbettingdime.com. Any content you see up there, it's coming through me, lead NFL editor. I'm big into the NFL. I've been a huge fan all my life. Probably started betting maybe a little too early, but I don't know that we need to necessarily get into that one. But yeah,
we could. I think I'm in the same boat.
I think many of us are in a very similar boat. Whether we did it legally right away, that's a whole other podcast in itself, right? But what we're here to do, we want to bring you, not only one, we want to teach you, everything you need to know about sports betting, just to start making informed wagers. Make sure that you're aware of all the terms. What a money line is, what a spread is. On top of that, we're going to give you some picks, some great picks, talk about some futures movement, some trends, and like I said, Frank will entertain.
Absolutely. Yeah, I come at it from more of an emotional perspective. Matt over here is a sharp guy. And Matt, where are you right now? I know you're a Broncos fan, but...
I am a Broncos fan. I do not live in Denver. I'm actually up in Canada, just in Toronto, Ontario. Now, I'd say Toronto, Ontario, but yeah, you got to drop the Canada for everybody down in the U.S. I'm not sure everybody knows where that is, but I'm sure you can hear the Canadian on me.
Yeah, we can a little bit. I know you dropped out a boot in the beginning. Let's get into it here. Week 14 in the NFL. We won't just be covering the NFL on this podcast, but, it's prime time for the NFL right now. Let's do it. So, week 14, something that really stood out to me was just the overall depression of being a Steelers fan. I think, I don't always want to lead with my team, but I feel like it's a pretty major story this week.
They are the story of the NFL right now.
I rode the Steelers at the beginning of the season. I thought they were undervalued. I don't know what their exact number is. You might know, but they covered like 6 or 7 games at the spread, I feel like. I was winning every single week, and I was betting my team. Things were going great in my life. Like, what more can you ask for? Not the case, and I was able to lay off. I didn't bet them this week, thank God. I mean, that was, for anyone that did, just stomach ache. Like, I can't even imagine how painful that was to watch if you had money on top of watching your team. But... that's what I had. That's what stuck out to me this week. I think there's some major issues with Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think he's right. I think he and Cam Newton, there's going to be after the season some sort of injury announcement. Whether Ben has aggravated something, I don't know. But he seems incapable of throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah, he has not looked very good. I mean, you're even seeing him miss those crossers as well. It's not even like the deep shots that he's missing, but those crossers over the middle. He missed Deontay Johnson a couple times there. Not good. And just for the record, Frank, yeah, they did cover 6 of their first 7 spreads this season. They were a hot bet to start the year, and it has come crashing down. They do not look good. Hey, you know what? You can at least count the defensive struggles lately. Getting lit up by Ryan Finley there. Their defense is so banged up now, right?
They are. I mean, that's really the story of the Steelers. I mean, Ben has been atrocious as of late, but you lose 3 of your 4 linebackers, you're not going to be able to compete, especially with the defense that's predicated on its linebackers.
And
as you mentioned, Ryan, a stud. Yeah, I mean, and so was Dupree. Dupree was going to be an All-Pro again. So, you mentioned Ryan Finley. When did Ryan Finley turn into like
Michael
like
Vick?
Mariota at Oregon. Yeah, like what? I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I had no idea he could run with the football. That was such a wild game. I think ultimately this was the real eye opener for the sports books. Their Week 16 game here coming up against Indianapolis. This line opened the early opening, I should say. Comes out Sunday night. They opened as 3-point favorites over the Colts for Week 16. After they lost that game to the Bengals, the new opening, and again, sportsbooks were petrified to reopen this line. I stayed up till about 1:30 Tuesday morning, waiting for this line to open because I was so curious. And finally, I had to call it. Went to bed, woke up, and the line reopened. Pittsburgh +1, so that's a 4.5-point swing after a loss to the Bengals. Just wild. And if there's one other note here too, I do want to share. I read there were some reports that I think a few people laid some big money. Somebody laid like $500,000 on the Pittsburgh money line in that game. Now, this is one of those times where I just want to quickly take an opportunity to teach a little bit here. Please stop making those bets. The risk is not worth the reward. It was going to pay out pennies to this person. And to risk that much money, it's just not worth it. This is the NFL. Any team can win any given week. This is something that Frank, this really bothers me when I see these massive bets placed on these heavy favorites. It's not worth it. Find another bet, risk less, and get more bang for your buck, basically, is what I'm saying.
I know, I couldn't agree more. And it goes for more than just the NFL. I had a friend that used to do these wagers on, he was a real degenerate, but he would do amateur women's Russian tennis.
Oh, yeah.
And he would bet like minus 850 favorites in these, for anyone who doesn't know, minus 850, that's a pretty heavy favorite.
That means you have to bet $850 just to win 100.
It's a terrible bet, and they would lose. They would lose like once a week on him, and he would never make money.
That cripples you.
You're absolutely right on that. Yeah, got a dogfight going on back there.
Yeah, sorry, no, I think they got upset about people betting those heavy favorites. My little pooch Pepperoni, he used to do some videos for us, some picks videos. So no, my apologies. I think he overheard us. He got a little bit upset there.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Let's do the awards. This is a segment we're going to do every week. We got 4 of these awards. Now, I'm not going to go them every single week, but here's the layout. We got bad beat, best W, disappointment, and a future jump. So let's kick it off with the bad beat. Who do you got, Matt?
So I have one of my own that I suffered, and there's one actually a friend of mine on Twitter shared this with me. So my own personal bad beat here came in the same game we were just talking about. I had the under in the Steelers-Bengals game. This was, I thought, a golden bet. I've come up with an NFL formula, predicts scores, and it told me there were going to be about 25 points scored in that game. I said, hey, Ryan Finley, not a great Bengals offense around him. Their offensive line's a little banged up too. Steelers defense is phenomenal, or at least had been pretty damn good. Under 41 was golden to me. And you know what? Ryan Finley starts running up the score. I'm sitting at 41 with 16 seconds left there. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'll take the push. I'll get out of here with a push. And I still, I understand why. But I just think the smarter play for Cincinnati with 16 seconds left in that game, especially when, I believe their kicker had already missed one earlier in the game. It was a bit of a longer field goal, but to walk your kicker out there, 16 seconds left, 4th and 1, you need 1 yard. Where were they? They were like inside the 30, I believe, at this point. It's not a long field goal, but at the same time, I think your risk. Pittsburgh had no timeouts left at this point either. I think your risk is just higher in that kick getting blocked and return for a touchdown than it is taking Ryan Finley, who had rushed for I don't even know how many yards at that point, and just plunging him forward on a quarterback sneak. I was furious. They walked the kicker out. He nails the field goal, pushes it over. I lose my bet there. That was a pretty bad beat for me. The other one I want to share though actually came again. It's another kicker. Came on the Sunday night game, Cleveland and the Giants. Cleveland's team total in the first half was set at 13. They get to 13. They walk Parkey out for the extra point. They take the penalty on the touchdown, so the extra point gets backed up, and he doinks it. So friend of mine loses his Browns first half team total over because of that doink. And hey, you gotta throw some of that on the player who took the penalty too, backing that thing up. Those are my two bad beats. Of course. They weren't as bad as some have been this season. But what do you got over there, Frank?
Well, I did have a personal one. I'll share two as well. I had a 6-point tease on the Lions for 15.5, and they decided to sit Matt Stafford in the last 4 minutes of the game. I don't even think he was injured. I think they just started sitting him, and they were still trying to win the game. So much so that they bring in Chase Daniel, I believe, backup quarterback,
the journeyman,
and he is hot. He comes in on fire, and he leads them all the way down the field. Touchdown is scored. Things are looking great. I'm within my number. The Lions decided to play no defense in this game. I think they ended up giving something like 48 points up to the Titans. But, lo and behold, Titans come all the way back down the field and score a meaningless touchdown, just abusing this Lions defense. And then I'm really hoping that Matt Stafford's going to come back in this game. I don't know, was he injured or something? Nope, it's Chase Daniel again. No points scored. That's a loss. It looked golden. There was only about 2 minutes left. They could have run the clock out. They just didn't. But that's not the worst bad beat of the week. The worst bad beat of the week had to have been Matt Rule deciding to kick a field goal. You saw this one. You know what I'm about to say?
I know exactly what you're going to say, and I'll be honest with you. I was relieved that he did because I teased the Green Bay spread. So it justified my tease, But I see where you're going with this, and I don't think you're as happy as I am about it.
I didn't have it myself, but for anyone who did, I was sick for them. If you're down 2 scores and you're on the 15-yard line, I believe that's where he was, the 15-yard line.
Yeah.
You go in and you try to score a touchdown. They kicked a field goal on first down. On first down with over 2 minutes on the clock, with the 2-minute warning, with timeouts. It was completely indefensible. The announcers thought it. My whole family I was watching it with thought it. I don't know, maybe my brothers had the bet or something, but I didn't. But there was some anger going on in the room. I still don't understand why he did it. They didn't end up winning the game. They kicked the field goal and they couldn't get the points, but the number came out to 8. The Panthers are getting 8.5, so maybe Matt Rule had some money on the game. I don't know what's going on there, but that was an absolutely atrocious beat. Let's move on to our next award. We have Best W. Who do you got?
My win of the week actually came back on Thursday night. The moment you started hearing Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, both potentially out, if they do play, probably on a limited snap count, I ran to Tyron Johnson anytime touchdown. I got it at plus 300. Plus 300 for those who aren't overly familiar with odds. It just means bet $100, you win $300. So I jumped all over that one. That was my win of the week. I mean, it's hard to beat a 3-1 payout there, but I also had that. Like I said, I was pretty happy with that Green Bay teaser. I teased that with the Colts -1. So got a little lucky there on both. But the Tyron Johnson was a real nice one. That felt good.
Yeah. Hey, let me pause for a second. I just want to check something. We can edit this part out.
Yeah.
All good. I just wanted to make sure my camera didn't stop. We're fine. Okay. So let me just pick that back up. You're talking about Tyron Johnson. All right. And something I want to throw in there, I know you mentioned how to read a plus 300. The way I look at it, for anybody that's confused, if it's plus 300, that just means it's a 3 times multiplier. So if it would be plus 3,200, you just multiply whatever you put down times 3.2. Yep. That's the quickest way to do it. Just bust out the old calculator in the phone and run it up right there. My best W of the week was the Ravens. I had this just a spread straight up. I forget what the number was. It was something high, like 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that. They won by so much I forgot the number. I mean, it was the easiest bet I've ever made in my life. That game was over in the first 6 minutes. The Jaguars had wasn't the Jaguars. It was
No, it was.
It was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It was.
It was the Jaguars.
I know that too well because I have James Robinson in fantasy, and
he caught a very nice touchdown in that game. Super talented guy.
Saved me.
I actually traded him this season, but I do think I won the trade. I ended up getting Tanyan and Kenyon Drake back, but anyway, that was a super easy bet. It was like, it's not often you win a bet where you can just relax after the first quarter. It's just a refreshing moment in life.
Absolutely. Hey, it feels so good to kick your feet up and not worry about it. And hey, I'll get into one of those in a little bit here.
Yeah, go ahead. Hit me with it.
I was gonna save it for our futures winner because I'll discuss it then.
We'll do that one now. We'll do disappointment last.
Okay. So my futures winner of the week here, and what I'm aiming for here is which team, which player, saw the most significant movement in their futures odds, whether that be Super Bowl futures, conference, division, whatever. Players, we're talking MVP, offense rookie of the year, things like that, right? The winner of the week for me was the Cleveland Browns. Their AFC North odds coming into the week were plus 1925. So they're a long shot coming in. And, admittedly, I'm someone who's sitting on a Pittsburgh plus 325 bet to win the AFC North. Now, I'd kicked my feet up here. And obviously I did it a little too early because all of a sudden I might have to hedge this bet. Cleveland right now is down to plus 266. So they went from plus 1,925 down to plus 266 because the Steelers lost to the Bengals. So, they are only one game back now of the Steelers in that division. And what do we have this week? Again, Pittsburgh, like I said, they are now dogs to the Colts. So it is in Pittsburgh at least. But what do the Browns have ahead of them? They have the New York Jets. Now the one win New York Jets. That monkey's off their back. They might not be playing as desperate anymore. It's really looking like that Week 17 game is between the two is going to shape up as a battle for that division. So the Browns are my futures winner of the week. Their AFC North odds just skyrocketed after this week.
That's a great one. Yeah, I didn't check that out. I probably should have. I probably didn't want to depress myself with that.
Don't look.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just don't understand how. I do have a couple theories on this, but I don't think anyone really understands how they are so much better without number 13, Odell Beckham. What the hell happened? Like, how could you possibly be better? Because I think everyone still agrees he's a hell of a player.
Phenomenal.
But why do you think they're so much better without him? I don't get it.
You know what? Baker just looks. He looks more comfortable. You get the sense that there isn't this pressure to feed any one specific player. In the passing game, he's just a little more relaxed. I think to be honest, and this is. I think this might be like the highest compliment you can pay anybody. Odell Beckham might be a little too quick because Baker's a pretty accurate quarterback, and he couldn't find him. He couldn't hit him. Baker looked awful. Like we were talking, 8 weeks ago we were talking about Baker Mayfield, the first overall bust, and how
being on the market. We were talking about him. He didn't get an extension. We were talking about him being on the market this summer.
Yeah. He did not look good, and you know what? Without the pressure to force feed anybody, he's looked so much better. It is wild. It's one of those things. It's hard to explain. I can't really explain it. Odell Beckham is in my mind still one of the top 5 receivers in this league. I think very few receivers come out of their cuts as quickly as he is. He's open He's one of the very few receivers that I will listen to when they say I'm open on every play.
It makes little to no sense. That is my only theory though too. Is the only rational explanation is that he doesn't feel pressure to force him the ball. He plays more freely. Yeah, I don't know. It is really strange. The last one we have is biggest disappointment. We've already gone over it. I don't think we should have to spend much time on it. Just Pittsburgh, easily.
So I'm coming in here. Biggest disappointment actually for me is the Vikings.
That's fair.
They were 3-point favorites against the Bears, and this is the Mitchell Trubisky led Bears. I get it. David Montgomery's running the ball well. The Vikings were in position here to challenge the Cardinals. They were challenging the Cardinals for that final wildcard spot. And then you go and lose to the team that everybody in the league has been calling the paper Lions over the last 5 weeks or so. They started off so hot. They were 5-1 to start this season, and they've been horrible. Like they've been beaten up on bad teams lately, and Minnesota just put themselves in that same category with the rest of those bad teams that the Bears have been beating up on lately. It was so disappointing. Their playoff odds are just gone basically at this point. I think they're as long as they're nearly plus 1900 or so right now. They're my disappointment.
You got to think that's fair. The Kirk Cousins experiment is over. It's completely over after that. I mean, it was a gigantic disappointment, and he has $80 million guaranteed in that deal. How are you not trying to move him? He's got to be done. If I was a Vikings fan, I'd want him out immediately after the season ends. Maybe don't even start him week 17. You can't make the playoffs anymore. Who's their backup?
Who is their backup right now?
I don't know. Trot him out there though. All right. Upcoming games. Here's a line I'm jumping on. This is a new segment we got going on. Week 15. Okay. I like to run it back. I like to reward my teams that have a good week for me with some more money the following week. So I come out. I like to predict what the spreads are going to be before they actually come out. I actually predicted this Ravens number to be -9 or so. Turns out it's -11 right now. Now it might have opened somewhere else. I didn't check as quickly as you probably did. But I don't care if it's 9, 11. I wouldn't even care if it's 12. I'm running the Ravens back. They love to beat up bad teams. I'm jumping all over it. It is not my play. Actually, yeah, it is. It is. So we have another one we're going to go with here, play of the week as well. That is going to double as my play of the week. Giving it out early. I'm all over it. Ravens -11.
That's some hot action.
Does the sharp side of things agree with me, or is that just a super public play?
So before I answer that, I want to ask you this question. So you expected this to open up about 9. It came in, like you said, you quoted at 11. Yeah, I've got 10.5 here at FanDuel. What's your cutoff for this game? What's the number you'll play the Ravens up to?
Anything below 2 touchdowns, I'll take.
Okay. And no, I'm with you. I'm with you, to be honest. Whether it is Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones, under center for this one,
I don't think it matters too much.
I don't think so either. I'm with you. Like you said it well.
I would almost prefer it. I would almost prefer it to be Daniel Jones. He's going to give the ball up 2 times.
Yeah, I mean, you watched Colt McCoy against the Browns on Sunday night there, and that ball was coming out quick. He took 1 sack against the Browns, who have been great rushing the passer this season. I'm with you. If it is Daniel Jones, you can expect probably at least 1 more turnover out of him than you would get at a Colt McCoy. I side with you here, and actually my formula does too. So my formula has the Ravens winning this game 37-10. So we're talking about a 27-point margin of victory here. I would lay these points as well, and I think this line's going to grow regardless, like you said, regardless of whoever is announced to be starting a quarterback for the Giants. I think this one's going to grow. That's been Baltimore's motto this season, is just we beat up on bad teams. We'll crumble against the Steelers, but man, we're going to beat up all the bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what they do. And just a final note here before I move on Baltimore. Watching them is like they're very much like a college team. Like they run the same play over and over and over again. They're going to run that RPO or they're going to run a play action. They're going to run a crosser over the middle and they're going to have Lamar Jackson make decisions. And if you're a bad team and you can't stop that, they're going to just hit you with it over and over and over again. It's incredible to watch. Like if you I don't know what the exact formula is of figuring out. I guess you just have to have some quick ends on defense or be really, really physical. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, they got a lot to play for, too. And they're not out of the playoffs.
Nope.
They're in the hunt right now. This is a must-win game for them. So I really like those games in the end of the season, too.
Absolutely.
Have some incentive.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you know, it seems the only way people have stopped Lamar Jackson this season is to take away those passes in the middle of the field, force him to throw outside the hashes, and you know he hasn't been as good, but I don't think the Giants defense can do it. They've been a very pleasant surprise this season, but I'm with you. This isn't easy. Ravens. I'm laying the 10.5 with you.
Who do you got?
My early line right now is actually one that I think is going to change throughout this week. You know, a very common theme in sports betting is succumbing to the recency bias. And I mean, Frank, what was the most surprising thing that happened in Week 15?
It's the Bengals.
So, well, actually, just a touch more surprising than that. The Bengals won as 15-point dogs, but there was another team who won as 17-point dogs. If you can recall, they got their first win of the season. That was the New York Jets.
Oh, the Jets. I'm sorry.
No,
yeah.
it's okay. The Jets upsetting the Rams as 17-point dogs. Now, first of all, if I can just really quickly, when is the last time you've seen 15 and 17-point underdogs win straight up in the same week? I have been hunting for this. I can't find anything. I don't know that we've ever seen this in the history of the NFL. I should at least say the modern NFL, or at least as far back as lines go.
That's a great point. That is a great point. I would say it's never happened.
I don't think it has. I've been looking into this for the last couple days, and I can't find anything. So just for the record, if you parlayed the Jets and the Bengals this week, it would have paid out 89-1. You put $1 on this thing and you win $89. That's your lottery ticket of the week that did cash. So anyways, my point here is that was the most surprising thing of Week 15. I think you actually just proved my point really well because you fell to the recency bias there as well.
Yeah, I did.
The Bengals,
it was just a later game.
Exactly, right? And this happens. This happens so often in the betting world. Everyone forgets right now how the Rams looked the rest of the season. You know, nobody's thinking about that right now. Everybody's thinking that this is the team who just lost to the New York Jets. They're not remembering this is the Rams team who really made Seattle look bad in their first meeting. They pressured Russell Wilson all game. The Seahawks just couldn't block them. And, you know, Sean McVay came in with a great plan. Jared Goff executed it well. I cannot believe right now that the Rams are getting 1.5 points, depending where you look. But I don't even want to take the points here. I am betting them straight up. I'm betting them on the money line right now. You know, you can get them anywhere. I think the longest I've seen them right now is about plus 105. So I'm jumping all over that. I think by kickoff, this is going to be a pick.
And for everyone out there just licking their lips right now, that is Rams at Seahawks, second slate on Sunday. I love that. The Rams have been good to me this year too. Anytime you have the defensive player of the year and you have, one of the best corners in the NFL, you clearly have a great defense and one of the best coaches.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really loves Jared Goff, but they're a solid team through and through. Yeah, they had a bad week and the Jets were desperate. I'm with you on that. I'm going to, right after this podcast, I'm going to dig into that.
I thought that's what you're doing with your phone next to you. You got to get on that now, man.
I know. I can't waste time. All right, let's do some trends. I have one here in a similar train of thought. We mentioned at the beginning how you waited up until the wee hours of the morning for that Pittsburgh line. You know, everyone does want to dump on the Steelers right now, and they deserve all of it. but this is still a team that's 11-3. Yes, lost 3 in a row. Have a lot of injuries. People are getting healthy. Seems like Eric Ebron's going to be okay. Vince Williams is going to come back from the COVID list. I think we're getting one of our linemen back as well, Dotson. But this is a home dog, the Steelers. What is it, 2 right now? 1.5 or 2?
1. Yeah, I haven't seen it at 2. I've seen 1.5.
I believe I saw it at 2.
Okay, yeah, I would jump all over 2 as well.
Here's the trend, though. Pittsburgh is 11-1 straight up versus Indy in the last 12 at home. I believe that's an at-home number, but that's where the game is, Heinz Field.
Yep.
That's a strong trend. 11-1. We don't lose the Colts at home. I say we because I'm from Pittsburgh, but I like it. I'll take the money line. I'll take the 2 points. I think this has got to be a bounce back game. There's not a ton at stake for Pittsburgh. I mean, the 1 seed is pretty much gone. But barring just a collapse from Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yeah.
But you want to finish the season strong, and you do want to lock up this W so you can rest to Week 17. Steelers, they want to get back on track. There's definitely some incentive here. I like that trend. I might have to start sprinkling the Steelers again. I laid off them last week. I don't know if I can do 2 weeks in a row.
You know what? The reason I was waiting up for that line too, Frank, what has given the Colts the most trouble this season, and their offense specifically? To me, it has been a defense who can get after Phillip Rivers. Like look at what Cleveland did to them. You know, the moment you can make Phillip Rivers uncomfortable, make him move in the pocket, push that back in his face, don't allow him to just step up in the pocket, but make him move side to side. He doesn't have the arm strength anymore to continue, especially those throws outside the hashes. And I think I'm with you. I think Pittsburgh can do that to the Colts. I know, like you said, obviously no Bud Dupree, but even just TJ Watt, like they're gonna have to put together one hell of a game plan to slow TJ Watt. I'm with you. I think this is a great bet. And again, it's that recency bias coming in again. Like you said, everyone's forgetting that Pittsburgh is 11-3 right now. This is a very good football team. To be getting points at home is wild.
I really expected this game to still be like closer to a pick 'em or Steelers minus a couple. I was shocked when I saw plus 1.5 or 2.
That was exactly what I thought. I was expecting pick.
Yeah, right. It just made sense. What trend you got for us?
So my trend's not too hot to this week. I'm looking more at just the whole body of work of the Miami Dolphins this season. They are 11-3 against the spread this season. That is the best mark in the NFL. And in their last 11, they are 10-1 against the spread. They are just making bettors money this season. And this week they head into Las Vegas as 3-point favorites. I don't know that we've gotten word yet. Marcus Mariota, Derek Carr at quarterback yet for Las Vegas. I really like the Dolphins in this one as well, and I think they'll continue covering spreads for us. Brian Flores has proven himself to be one of the better defensive minds in this game, and I think they'll put together a great plan for whoever is under center for Vegas. Tua's just been good enough this year, right? I still think Fitzpatrick has been the better quarterback. I understand what they're doing. I understand you got to get Tua in there. You have all this draft capital coming up in 2021. You got to figure out, hey, do I still need a quarterback? But Tua's been good enough. The offense has been good enough. I think they roll. And again, like you said, this is a desperate game. They are in the hunt right now. They currently sit in a playoff spot, but the odds right now favor Miami to miss the playoffs. So desperate. This is a must win for them. I think they come out. They cover the 3-point spread.
Yeah, I agree with that one too. I mean, I don't know how you could like Vegas. They've been a disaster as of late. They've completely imploded. Let's move on though. Let's do the game you're staying away from. I have mine at Tampa Bay minus 9.5 at Detroit. I didn't think the number would be that high. It doesn't make me want to bet Detroit though. I still can't trust them either. No. I think both these teams are just entirely untrustworthy. I've had Tampa Bay burn me in a couple spots this year. I can't seem to pick the weeks where they do well. There was the one early on in the season. You'll have to remind me who they played. The national team. It was the Saints. That was. I mean, I think I had to quit them then. That was just a complete embarrassment. That was almost as bad as my Chargers pick versus the Patriots. It's been really bad. I don't know if they're going to come out, what they're going to look like. Like, they even looked terrible last week versus Atlanta, and they all of a sudden have another comeback. I mean, that's what Atlanta does best. But from a quarter-to-quarter basis, you just have no idea who you're getting with them. I'm completely staying away.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Detroit's always been one of those teams for me as well, where I just can't get a good read on them. You don't know when Stafford's going to show up and throw for 300, 350. I hear that. I'm staying away from.
I don't know if Stafford's going to play. They might sit him again. Who knows?
Too. I mean, at this point, he has been banged up the last few. Like, he's playing through some injuries right now, right? So I don't know why you do it. You're out of the playoffs. Like, I don't know if at this point you're kind of trying to showcase him as trade bait. Like, I think he's already proven what kind of quarterback he is.
Was he had 9 years to showcase?
Yeah, exactly. Right? This isn't a brand new quarterback nobody's had a look on. So I don't know why you would play him, to be honest with you. The game I'm staying away from, and it's the same team that disappointed me last week. It's the Vikings and Saints. Saints laying 7 points here. I don't know yet that we can trust Drew Brees coming back from this injury. You know, he admitted himself after the game, he's clearly not fully healthy right now. But the Saints are obviously going to stick with him. They know, their best chance of winning Super Bowl this year is with him under center. So, you got to get him back in there, get him comfortable, because it's not looking like they're getting that first round bye anymore. So I don't know what to expect out of the Saints offense. And, all of a sudden their defense, hey, it was the Chiefs last week, but, the week prior, we're looking at the Eagles, Jalen Hurts carving them up too, right? So I don't know what to expect from the Saints this week, and I also have no idea what to expect from this Vikings team. Kirk Cousins 1 week can come out and look like a real franchise quarterback, and his receivers are happy with him, and then the next week they're screaming in his face on the bench because, he stinks. I don't like this line at 7. I don't like either of these teams. You couldn't, if you gave me money, I wouldn't use your money to bet this game.
We're going to have a little bit more on that game in a second. That is one of our primetime picks. But before we get there, I gave my play of the week out, Ravens minus whatever. Let's hear yours.
So I like the Rams a lot. But I think the other one here is the Browns minus 9.5. Like I said, this is a team who sees opportunity right now to win the AFC North. They're playing with a ton of confidence. Baker's playing fantastic. The defense is playing well. Myles Garrett's still, he even says he's still recovering from COVID. The Jets got their win. I don't think this is all of a sudden a Jets team that's turned a corner and we're going to, see them be competitive. I think they caught the Rams sleeping. This should be like a 14-point line in my mind.
I fully expected it to be like 13 points. I think that's what I had written down. You might know this. When's the last time the Jets weren't a double-digit dog? I thought for sure it'd be double digits at least.
The Jets were not a double-digit dog. I can pull up that stat for you, and I'm going to pull up that stat.
It seems like it's been every single week this season, so I was like, okay, they got a win versus the Rams, great, but here we go. It's still the same Jets. I mean, they didn't all of a sudden get so much better.
The one that jumps to mind right away is the Patriots not too long ago, because I believe they were only they weren't double digits then, but was there a game prior to that? I'll get that answer.
I would imagine it's like week 1 or 2.
Well, now keep in mind, they were actually, I hate to say this, they were favored against the Broncos on that Thursday night game when the Broncos started Brett Rippon.
That is embarrassing.
Keep that in mind. They were 1-point favorites in that game. But yeah, looking back, so they were only 7.5-point dogs to the Raiders in only a few weeks ago there. 7.5. They were 7.5-point dogs as well against the Dolphins. So you saw 2 weeks in a row there, but I mean they've been double-digit dogs. 1, 2, 3, 6 times this season we're looking at. Yeah, and this should be another one. Absolutely should be another one. I'm jumping all over this at 9.5. I would play this up to 13.5, like you said with Baltimore.
I'm with you on that. We really haven't had any disagreements yet. I'm wondering if we will on these primetime picks. Let's go back to the Minnesota game we were just talking about. We have Minnesota at New Orleans. New Orleans is -7. Coming off a hard-fought push, depending on where you got it, versus the Chiefs. I found this one very difficult to research. Minnesota is just so bad, and like you said, you really don't know what you're getting. That being said, I just trust the Saints more. They are at home in this game. Drew Brees looked, serviceable at the very least.
Yeah.
I'm going to take New Orleans -7. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going with it. When it comes to the end of the season like this, I want a team that's not going to roll over, and I think there's a good chance the Vikings just quit and roll over.
Yeah, that could be. And like I said, I don't want to give a pick on this game, so I'm personally not going to. But let me give you some numbers here. Let me give you my.
Matt, you got to give me something. Where are you leaning?
Well, if I got to lean somewhere, I'm leaning with my formula. So my formula right now says the Saints win this game only by 1.6 points.
Okay.
The formula has this as a very tight game. And your point about the Vikings potentially rolling over, they just seem to be that team. Like, if you remember the last couple seasons, like it's like they play their best game in week 17 when it doesn't matter. When they've been eliminated from the playoffs, or when their backs against the wall, they seem to do well. And hey, they started this season horribly, and they've crawled back in. So, I side with my formula. I understand why it's gone this way. This Vikings team isn't as bad as we're looking at them, and as bad as I'm, ripping on them right now for just being so horrible against the Bears last week. But I would lean with my formula here, and take the Vikings to cover. It's also calling for the under, so 22.7 to 21.1. So you're looking at 43.8 points being scored. The total here is, I've seen this as high as like 51 this week. So it likes the under quite a bit. I think that would potentially be my bet here too. Breeze is still a little rusty.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing to ever happen. I did look it up on sportsbettingdime.com for everyone out there looking to get some, analysis tools, what have you. 85% of the public on New Orleans. I'm fully aware of that. I'm still taking them if I have to bet this game. Maybe that's just who I am as a bettor, but we'll move on. Sunday night game, Tennessee at Green Bay. Green Bay -3.
This is a nice one. I look forward to this game this week. Like I think this is this might be one of the more entertaining games we get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think you're going to see Green Bay with a 3-point or less spread until the playoffs, which, isn't very much time. There's only 2 more weeks. But Green Bay is my Super Bowl pick to come out of the NFC. And if you are going to be my Super Bowl pick, I think I have to bet you -3 versus a Tennessee team that is not very good on defense. And the game is at Green Bay. So, I'm close. I don't love this one, but if I'm giving out a pick on this, I'm riding with Aaron Rodgers. He looks right. And they can lock up the 1 seed with a win and some help, I believe. Yeah. So there is some incentive for them to get this W, clinch, take a rest in Week 18.
Well, we did it, Frank. We finally got here. We disagree. I'm siding with my formula again here, and my formula is calling for a Titans upset. Now, why is it calling for the upset here? There's one thing that this Green Bay team lacks, and that is run defense. And what is Tennessee so good at? It's Derrick Henry, MVP candidate. He's not going to win it. He's not going to take this from Mahomes or Rodgers. But 2,000 yards is in play, and he deserves to be in the discussion. He's in the discussion. He's still a top 5 contender right now. You can see that, by the way, at our NFL MVP odds tracker over at SBD. But this to me just looks. I don't want to call this a trap game for Green Bay, but we saw a bit of a rough performance against Carolina. They weren't playing their best football. And I do appreciate that the Titans defense isn't that great either, but I think Green Bay might already be looking forward to that first round bye, the playoffs. And I know they still need to lock it up. It's not theirs just yet, but with Tennessee coming in, I just don't foresee them stopping Derrick Henry at any point. And if you can keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline for lengthy periods, I mean that's your best defense against these top quarterbacks in the league, right? It's keep them off the field, and I think Tennessee's gonna be able to do that. The formula's obviously reading that as well, and I like Tennessee to win this game straight up. I gladly take. You can get them like plus 155 right now. I think that's a great bet just to win this game straight up.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see your point on Tennessee. I think it's going to be a really hard-fought game. I don't think Green Bay is going to be running away with this game by any means. But I just go back to my first point here. If you're my Super Bowl pick, I fully expect you to win this game at home by 3 or more. Let's move on to Monday night. Buffalo at New England. Not a particularly great game here. New England's eliminated from the playoffs. And I should mention the spread, too. What number are you getting?
Right now, I'm looking at Bills -7.
Okay, I have the same. Not like I said, not a great game. New England's out of it. But this is a storyline game. It's been a major thing. I've seen tons of posts on Instagram. Okay, this is the first year since 2000, the last time the Bills won the AFC, or anyone other than the Patriots won the AFC East. Well, maybe not the last time, because there was that one year they missed the playoffs.
When Brady went down, and Castle started there.
Let's take that game, maybe to take that season out. Belichick was the coach of the Browns back then. Josh Allen wasn't even born. This is a big thing. I think the post that they're probably saying the last time the Bills won it, not anyone else won it, because I think the Jets won it that year, or the Dolphins.
I think it was the Dolphins. I think that was the Dolphins. Was that the Ronnie Brown Wildcat year? I think that might have been. Yeah.
Throwback. But anyway, this game does mean something. It's a big brother, little brother type of game. You can kind of cement the shift of power here in the AFC East and just capitalize it with this win here. Really step on them, especially seeing as the game is at New England. There is something on the line here for the Bills. They can, like I said before, they can clinch the 2. They'll probably end up resting some guys since it won't matter so much in Week 17. But saying all that, and I really like the Bills. I've been riding Josh Allen as my fantasy QB all year.
That's been
Stephon
nice.
Diggs, what a wonderful surprise. I've had him too. I think I drafted him like the 6th or the 7th round. Been delightful. New England is 11-2 as home dogs, and they're getting quite a few here. 7 points. I think it's going to be a cold, hard-fought game. These divisional games are usually like this. 7 points is a lot for a divisional game, especially if you're a home dog. I did not expect the number to be this high. I thought it was going to be like 4 or 5, or maybe even 3. Too many points. Give me New England.
I'm with you on this one. I expected a very similar line. I thought we'd be looking maybe like 5.5. Again, hey, it's recency bias here, right? The Bills are coming off some really big wins. All the narrative that you brought up there, I think, is very interesting. The one that stands out to me here is, like you said, the Patriots are going to miss the playoffs. This is the first time in, like we said, since that Matt Castle year that they're going to miss the playoffs. And the second time in Belichick's tenure here, basically, I think, right? I think this is an opportunity for Bill Belichick to really just firm up that he is the best coach. It's like, hey, you know what? You guys beat us this year. You got the division this year. Have it. But just remember, I am Bill Belichick. I am the best coach in the league. And I think there's a lot of ego on the line here. And I think Belichick puts together his best game plan of the year. I mean, the first game these two teams played was looking like New England was going to pull off the upset. It was a Cam Newton fumble late in the game as they were driving. That cost the Patriots. And I think we're going to see another tight one. That one was in Buffalo, obviously. This one in New England, in Foxborough.
That was the play on the goal line, right?
It wasn't at the goal line. They were where were they? They were in Buffalo territory, but I think it was only they were around like
Right, I'm thinking of a different game.
35-ish. You might be thinking of Houston, either the last 2 weeks potentially fumbling. Or sorry, not the last 2 weeks, but their last 2 games against the Colts, both fumbling to the goal line. That could be the one.
Potentially.
But yeah, I really like New England in this spot, +7. My formula actually has New England win this straight up as well. It's going upset heavy this week. I think my best play for this game, though, to be honest, is the under. I know that the total's already it's not huge, 46, but I don't see many points being scored in this one. As much as the Bills' offense has been so hot lately, I think Belichick slows them down. If he doesn't slow them down, too, here's the other thing. And if the Bills do put up some early points, I think it's going to force New England into a bad game script. We haven't seen a lot of success with Cam Newton having to play from behind and put the ball in the air a ton this year. So if we do see that, we might, again, the Bills might just run away with it. We won't see many points at all from the Patriots. So I think kind of either way this game goes, I like the under in this one.
Well, that's it. That's our first pod right there. Hey, we got a lot of bets to put down. We gotta get out of here. I gotta get back on my phone. I gotta throw some things in. You can follow me at @FrankMichaelSmith_ on Instagram, at FrankMichaelSmith on TikTok. I'll give my Twitter out, but I'm really not on Twitter. Frank at @FrankMSmith_ on Twitter. Matt, you want to give your info, and then we'll give some information on SBD?
Yeah. So, first of all, like Frank said, we'll get to SBD. Check that out. But you can follow me on Twitter, SBD_Matt. For whatever betting advice, news you want, I'm generally just sticking to that on there. So futures movement, the betting trends, team trends, things like that. That's where I focus on my Twitter account, SBD_Matt.
Beautiful. And hey, we'll be coming at you. We're filming this every Wednesday, probably coming at you Thursday before that night game goes off. This is great. We're going to have episode 2 for you next week. For anything betting related, sportsbettingdime.com for the best contest in the business right now. 0 risk, $500 reward, SBD play. Why not throw all the bets in there too?
If you're not on SBD play right now, like I don't know what you're doing with your time. I mean, it's the golden opportunity right now, especially if you are if you find yourself in a state where you're kind of waiting on legalization right now. There's still a lot of them that are very close. Grease the wheel here. Get some practice in. Head over to SBD Play. It's just a virtual. It's a free to play sports book. Going
with the $500 prize if you really do well.
No money needed, no credit card, no nothing. There is 0 risk here. Just create an account. We'll have your username. That's all we're taking from you. Get on there. $500 prize, and actually it is going up, Frank, too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll kind of tease with that, but we will see a little more than just $500 per week. So head over SBD Play. We have it. There's an app out for it too. So we know how the kids like the apps, right?
Absolutely. So that's all. Episode 1. Rate, review, subscribe. Send it to a friend that likes betting. We'll catch you guys next week.